After a shaky start to the season at Braintree Town, will we be able to steady the ship in this episode, or will off-the-field issues continue to throw spanners into the works? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Braintree Town career mode save on FIFA 17. If you didn't catch the previous video, please do go and check it out, as it sets up this whole storyline and explains how we've ended up in League 2 with barely 11 players and the lowest rated squad in the league. Let's waste no time today though and continue where we left off last time, where we were embarrassingly pumped by Fulham in the EFL Cup. So it's a return to league action against Accrington Stanley. Spoiler alert for those of you who didn't see the last video, we actually did win our first League 2 match against all the odds, defeating Leyton Orient 1-0 away from home with a squad so threadbare that the manager started at left back. But this game is a big deal. It's our first home match in the Football League at Cressing Road. Last season this ground was in the conference, playing host to sides like Welling United and Guiseley, but now we're in the big time. Those necessary ground improvements have been completed to align with the EFL's regulations, but it doesn't take a genius to understand that our team is so subpar that fluky win on match day 1 felt like even more of a miracle as every minute passes in this game. Accrington are dominant from the beginning. All we do is try and defend and just hope that they squander their opportunities, and at the moment we are clinging on, but it's only the first half. So far they've just been missing the target with their opportunities, and it wasn't long before our goalkeeper was called into action. Malcolm McKeith with a good stop there. He's looked pretty solid so far despite the challenging results, but we do manage to enter the break level at 0-0. But in the second half they have a corner here, and this chance sums up our fortune. How does that ball not end up in the back of our net? It's taken a deflection, it's hit the crossbar, it's been punched away, it's an absolute mess, but then they get played clean through. A massive opportunity and another good stop from Malcolm McKeith. This time they're squandering the opportunities entirely every time they get through. It looks like we might actually be able to build something here, but no, it's robbed. They get played through again and we've got absolutely no stamina, but this time they still miss the target. We are clinging on for dear life here. They have the ball out wide, whipped into the area, headed down, and Malcolm McKeith forced to tip that one over slightly unconvincingly. But at the moment it looks like we might come away with a point from this game by some miracle. We clear away that corner. What's going to be the result? Back in it comes towards the box. We're in added time now. Are they going to manage to get a shot away? No. We clear it out of our box and eventually switch the play over towards Jordan Morgan. He's got absolutely nothing left in the tank, but he busts a gut to carry us up the pitch a tiny bit and wins a free kick. Omar Beckles taking him down, and that should be an opportunity to whip the ball in. Surely we can't win it. It's cleared away, but we're going to get on the end of the scraps. We try and recycle the ball. What can we do? Chop back into the feet of our striker, but that is a horrible touch, and that will signal the end of that game. Somehow we come out unscathed. That is one of the most well-earned points I've ever had playing FIFA. We defended more or less for 90 minutes, and somehow we come away with the results. And I'm going to show you the stats here just to show you how mental that was. 39% possession, not even a single shot. But we can thank our goalie, Malcolm McKeith, for keeping us in the game and getting us a point against Accrington Stanley. Even though we avoided defeat, I don't think we can really call that a performance to build upon. We showed absolutely zero attacking quality, but let's see how we fare against Yeovil Town, a side that were in the Championship as recently as 2014, but have since fallen down a whopping 4 divisions all the way down to the National League South, but have since won the title there and taken one step back to returning to the EFL, sitting in the conference alongside Braintree today. But in this universe we've caught them just before they fall into non-league. And have a look at this. This is probably our best attack in the last 3 games or so. An attempted diving header ends with our player bundled under their goalkeeper, and it's no surprise to see our opponents spending a lot of time in and around our box, with a long shot there from Butcher going over the crossbar, but our Scottish shot stopper having to step up to the plate here as a shot from the edge is turned wide, and it looks like he's the man so far keeping us in these matches. But into the second half we get in at 0-0 once again, but we've relied on our goalkeeper, we've relied on our defence, and now we're relying on the woodwork. That strike coming off the crossbar, and we hack that one clear. But we could get away on a little counter-attack here. No, of course we can't. They pinch it back and they work it well. A run from midfield, through into the box, and that time they aren't to be denied. They hit the back of the net, and that defensive wall that's held up for all of one game is now broken. No matter what we did going forward, we just couldn't lay a glove on them, and the Glovers come forward themselves with men in behind. It looks like they've overplayed it here, but somehow, even after that, they managed to find the back of the net. We've just not got the legs to get back and defend. We had the men over there as they look to have played it out wide too far, but it doesn't matter, and it would only get worse. They whip a ball into the box. Arsenal loanee Chuba Akpom getting in on the fun to make it 3-0 to Yeovil. We didn't really offer anything in this game, as much as we didn't in the last, but defensively we were so much poorer this time around, and as our goalkeeper sends that one up the pitch, it would signal the end to that match. Concludes another game where yet again we failed to muster a single attempt on goal. Although when we look at the stats here, we did have a little bit more possession, so I suppose that's a positive to take, but as many wise men have said in the past, the stats are irrelevant. The only metric that matters is sticking it in the onion bag, and right now we haven't even got any onions or even managed to get a look at what the bag is. But we move on, now hosting Luton, a team that went from non-league to the Premier League, and you might recognise a couple of names from that lineup, but in the early stages of this game, the unthinkable happened. We are taken down for a free kick. Within shooting distance, the skipper, Nicholas Allen, stands over it straight into the wall, but that is our first shot for about 4 games. Amazingly though, look at this. We're coming forward again and we can threaten Luton in these wide areas against that narrow formation you saw that they were playing. And we create another chance. I mean, that one was probably going out for a throw-in, but we are making the opportunities for ourselves. And again, down this left-hand side, what can we do? We look to whip in a cross, a header. Again, wide of the mark, it trickles past the post, but it does mean that we head into the break level, and Luton come forward in the second half though and find the back of the net. But thankfully, the linesman did have his flag up and we survive, and it felt like they'd really turned it up a notch in this second 45 as McKeith has to make a solid stop to keep them at bay. But that corner is then eventually swung in. We look to clear it away. We can counter. No, we can't. We've given it away so cheaply, and they work it back towards the edge of our box, wriggle through, and it hits the back of the net. It's so frustrating. We had such a positive first half. They turned it up a little bit in the second, and then out of nothing, they create almost a half chance, really. We've got so many men around the ball. Look at the replay. There's about 3 players on top of him. Not one of them could get a foot in, and they find the back of the net. They have the lead, and sometimes football can be a cruel mistress like that. But can we get anything late on? Can we salvage a point? We look to work an opportunity into the feet of our striker De Souza Vittoria, and that's probably killed a fan in the crowd towards the end. They're looking to put on a misery compiler. We hit it up the field, but it's the end of the match once again. We fall to defeat. If only we had some substitutes to bring on. Well, that could have changed the game, but now the good thing is, as we hit deadline day, it meant that the new month rolled around and our scouts have finally returned with a new crop of youngsters. You know the deal by now. It doesn't matter how good or likely rubbish they are, we need the numbers. Our English scout Ethan Brown returns with Liam Watson and Liam Rose, the latter unfortunately too young to be promoted just yet, but we'll take him in and just hope his 16th birthday is soon. Next up, Mark Crowe, no more relatives this time by the looks of it, but the decent potential Keith Quinn is an exciting pickup. Darren Duffy, on the other hand, 59 max potential, says it all. And finally, Donald Henry can only find the one Scot, Ben Ross, who looks to be a winger, but we'll bring him in anyway. And here is the full academy as it looks. We've got to sort out the first team forms as quickly as we can though, because after the recent run of games we've had some players rendered unavailable with pulled muscles. Keith Quinn does look to be the pick of this bunch, but we need to get them into the first team setup absolutely ASAP, because right now it's an unavailability crisis, and as we reach the first match of September, we haven't got them sorted in time. We quite simply do not have the resources to get the game on against Morecambe, which means with our players unfit to play, we're forced to actually forfeit the game and receive an automatic 3-0 loss. Morecambe will probably be thinking they could have beaten us by more than 3 after our recent games, but regardless, after a stern word from the league, we hit the training ground, focus on ourselves ahead of the next match, and before that game against Doncaster, which is up next, we do thankfully get 4 new players in from the academy. And we'll look at the lineup now to see how it looks with a bench Finally, we have an actual bench. Duffy and Ross introduced onto that 4-man substitute bench, with Watson starting at right back and Keith Quinn in at the cam position, which sees Crow shift out to the left. Here we go then, hosting Doncaster. I wouldn't exactly call it strength in numbers, but I think we can all agree it's better than having to forfeit matches. We host Doncaster for another home game, our first game with an actual bench. Will this be the game that we finally show a bit of quality going forward and maybe, who knows, sounds crazy, find the back of the net? The visitors are going to be the ones to get us underway, and they'll be the ones to have the first chance coming forward in the early stages. They try and work it around our defence. They do well, but have a long shot from distance. That one sails wide of the upright, thankfully. They try and then come down the left-hand side, but our new right-back, Liam Watson, uses his body really well to defend that one. It's nice to have someone in a natural position there for a change. James Crow now out on the left, sticking in a cross. That's a decent one. And another one of the new lads, Quinn, getting on the end of it with a diving header. He does well to direct it on target, but their goalkeeper makes the save to deny him. But we are putting in some nice bits of interplay down this left-hand side, and our Canadian, D'Souza Vittoria, just cannot hit a barn door if he tried. He is so rubbish. He's one of the worst players I've used on FIFA. But have a look at this. We start with the ball in our own half, cross the halfway line, some quick passing. We actually resemble a football team for a minute here. Vittoria turns provider, and Hogan with the strike. That's a solid effort, better than what our striker can muster, and that bloke is in his 30s for his overall, which says it all. And the first half would end level, and that is a 45 minutes that we can be proud of. One that we can actually look at and say, you know what, we can build on this. Into the second half, we try something down the right hand side. They're pretty compact defensively, but we work it to the new boy, Watson, on the overlap. What can he do? Checks back, crosses in, and would you believe it? After all the flack I've given him, and trust me, it's been well founded, Sam D'Souza Vittoria, the Canadian number 9, our striker, our only striker, manages to divert his header beyond the goalkeeper to make it 1-0. What a cross that is from Watson, first of all, on his weak foot, perfectly delivered, but it's all about SDSV. Not really the sort of name you can abbreviate, but I'm open to nickname suggestions. He's off the mark, and with half an hour to go, we could be on our way to actually winning a game. He's back to his usual self there, though, as that shot trickles out for a throw. We can chalk the goal up as an anomaly, but this is so nice to have. Our players start to tie. We can actually bring on some fresh legs. Ross and Duffy make their debuts, and we enter added time, holding onto the ball for as long as possible. We pump it upfield, headed on, we lose it momentarily. Duffy wins it back, and those fresh legs, he tries to get us up a tiny bit further, and it's enough. There it is, the full-time whistle sounds. Braintree Town win 1-0, our second win in the Football League, and it's been a slog to get there. Defeating Doncaster Rovers at home, man, that was difficult, but we fought hard. We kept believing through games where we didn't even manage to get a shot off, and we've been rewarded at last. What a way that is to round off this video and close the episode. Let's enjoy a couple of replays of that moment as we say goodbye. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more from this save, do let me know. I'll keep it coming. But one thing we need to do before we end, the player of the episode has to be Malcolm McKeith. So many saves, 2 clean sheets in this video, very impressive, and he's someone that deserves the recognition. So again, I'll thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy it, or if you've got any feedback, I'd love to hear it, and if you leave a comment, I'll be sure to read it. Cheers again, thank you very much, and bye bye.